Hi everyone, welcome to DNA. Today our special guest is me. Surprise! Yes, today I'm inviting myself to talk about what it's like to be a consultant. Well, as many of you guys know, consultant is a very mysterious job, just like FBI. No, I'm kidding. But there is a lot of confidentiality involved in the job. That is why I think myself, as an ex-consultant, is probably the best guest to invite to talk about today's topic. Plus, it is fun to invite myself to my show, right? So as a start, I always ask our guests why they decided to do ABCD. So why did I decide to become a consultant? The answer is really simple. I think it is the quickest and the best way to train your business skills, from soft skills like communication, stakeholder management, teamwork, leadership, to hard skills like Excel modeling or creating a PowerPoint presentation. You will definitely get the chance to work with clients from different functions, which is a great way to broaden your business experience and knowledge. Plus, if you're lucky enough, you will also get the chance to work across different industries or travel around, which is not what most of the job could offer. So how did I like my life as a consultant? What was my day-to-day like? Well, first thing to get out, it is nothing like a house of lies, please. Maybe a little bit. Well, we usually work as a team of 2 to 3 analysts and associate, plus a project manager, plus an associate partner and a senior partner. And at the beginning, we really do a lot of reading, a lot of research on what is the industry's latest trend, and really trying to understand what is the biggest problem that the client is asking us to solve. Then the project manager usually will help to break down the big problem into smaller pieces, and every individual analyst or associate will own 1 to several pieces of the work streams. And we will do a lot of problem solving our individuals or as a group, but ultimately you will be the one owning your own work streams and really conduct a lot of analysis, research external data, interview experts, and usually at the end we will put all the pieces of the puzzles together and present to the client a really nice deck, but more importantly all the important findings in a month or 6 weeks time frame. I had my highs and lows. I've worked from 60 hours to 100 hours. I literally had time when I was feeling that I was gonna faint in the office when I was staring into the lights. It was really tough. There are definitely moments that I felt very proud when the clients was telling you, that is it, you really helped us to nail it, to find the answer. That is a moment of pride. And as a consultant before, I definitely had a couple of those moments. But ironically enough, those are also the projects where I worked the longest hours. As a consultant, I've definitely worked on many different problems across many different companies. And it's very interesting that you will observe there are definitely common problems that every company face. But I think the most interesting part is the culture. Some companies move really fast, some companies move really slow, and some companies always want things to be perfect. Or some really doesn't care, they just care about moving really fast and are not afraid of breaking things. But there are definitely a lot of common problems that I've seen across all kinds of companies. The first is the data problem. Everyone knows data is super important, but every single company I've worked with has data quality issues. Isn't that interesting? And second is communication. The different divisions or functions usually are very siloed, so people don't know what others are working on, which oftentimes creates inefficiency. What are the goods and the bads about being a consultant? Well, the goods are a lot. One, you get a really awesome business training, which is not most of the place would offer in a very quick 2 years. You get the opportunity to work on many different functions, train your business skills, which definitely pave a way for your future career development. And second, opportunity to work with senior leaders even at a very young age. It's not only the client you work with, but also the partners in your company who oftentimes would become a really good mentor and advisor to you. And the third, if you are lucky enough, as I said before, you get the opportunity to work across many different industries and travel around a lot of beautiful places. And the fourth, which is also a very important point, why a lot of people go to consulting. Consulting company usually offer people opportunity to go to business school after 2 years, and they will pay for your tuition as long as you come back, work for the firm again for another 2 years, which is really a good deal. And the bad. So the bad, obviously number one, the hours. And second, I think I've touched about it before, you don't necessarily always get the opportunity to pick your project. So you don't always get to work on different industries or in different places. It really depends on project availability, it depends on your previous project experience. And ironically enough, if you are successful, if you did a really good job in your previous project, you're more likely to become an expert in the same industry because people trust that you have that knowledge and could do a good job for the next company. And the third might be more controversial to say. I don't think consultants always get the opportunity to drive the impact that they want to. Sometimes because of politics, the recommendation have to change. And oftentimes consultants don't stay long enough through execution. What's a career path like? Well, usually there are two major paths. One, work really hard and become a partner in the firm. And second, you could get a few years of training and then go out to work for a corporate. And there are really a lot of choices if you go to corporate. You could work on strategy, marketing, sales, operations, finance, you name it. And nowadays it's also very popular to become a product manager or program manager in a tech company. Okay, so what is required to become a very good consultant? Well, there are a couple of things that every single consulting firm will talk about. You have to be really eager to learn and a very fast learner. And second, you have to have very good problem-solving skills. You have to be very analytical, being able to tell insights from data, break down big problems into small, and really solve them, even if they are very ambiguous at the beginning. You have to have really good stakeholder management skills and communication skills. Teamwork is definitely super important. You will have to switch your project teams from time to time. So at the beginning, we usually do a team learning session together so that everyone could take advantage of others' strengths and also don't get tripped off on some styling things during the project. There's no time for drama. And lastly, as you grow more senior, leadership and expertise in certain functions or industries will definitely become more and more important. Well, lastly, we get to talk about how you can be successful in interviews. So usually there are 2 to 3 rounds for a consulting firm interview, and sometimes there will be a written test involved. In the in-person interview, there are usually 2 parts. One is a behavior part, so they will ask you a lot of questions about your previous experience to demonstrate your teamwork, leadership, communication skills, problem solving. You name it, everything we just mentioned that's important to be a successful consultant. And the second part is they will do a couple of case studies with you. Oftentimes it is a simple business questions like why did the revenue decline, or when the company think about entering a new market, what are the things they need to consider. So there are definitely a lot of books that could help you to understand how to crack those questions. and a very famous one is called the case in point. So in the interview, stay structured, do your math right, and communicate very clearly will definitely help you succeed. Consultants usually get to travel around the interesting places with very luxury experience like first-class flight, 5-star Michelin restaurant, or 5-star hotels. How do I feel about it? Definitely this. But I will caveat, it is not always true. Sometimes you do get the chance to fly first class because you are flying really long distance. You do get the chance to stay in a better hotel, 3 to 5 stars often. And restaurants, well, we don't really waste all our clients' money on restaurants, but we definitely do fancy dinner once we wrap up a project, just as a way to celebrate. One thing I would say is that consultants work really, really hard. So the companies are also trying to treat them as well as possible so they can focus more on work. Consultants are usually only invited when there is a big problem with the companies. I feel this is definitely not true. Although a lot of companies will invite consultants when they do have big problems, there are oftentimes projects that we focus on growth. So we usually help clients to figure out what are the next level of growth they could achieve, what are the new markets they should step into, what are the new products they should consider building. So it's not always about bad things. Next time when you see consultants in your corporate, don't freak out. It doesn't mean that your company is in trouble. But the next one is funny. This is something I heard a lot when I was working in consulting. Junior consultants' hourly pay rate may not be better than McDonald's, but fortune will come to you once you become a partner. I definitely felt a poop face about this one. I don't know if it's true or not comparing to the McDonald's pay. I never looked into it, but we definitely didn't get paid as much as we should given the hours that we work on. But I think it is also because while you are working, you are actually getting a fair amount of business training. It is true that once you become a partner that you will get a lot of money. Consultants most deliver a beautiful deck and then check out. They never stay through execution. Well, as I said before, it is true sometimes and I will give it a poop face. But it is not up to consultants because usually the cost for consulting firm is really, really expensive. So the company wouldn't be able to afford having the consultants stay on for a long period of time. So what happens usually is that they align with the final strategy with the consultants and then they will have their own internal team to carry out the implementation. This is the one I like. Consultants always talk about things in 3. It's the magic number. Yes, definitely, and I love this. Although I think during this show I didn't always stick to the rule of 3, but having 3 key takeaways is definitely super powerful. Wonderful, so I guess that's a wrap. As I said, it's really fun to be the guest to my own show. Hope today's episode helps you to understand more what it's like to be a consultant. Let's do this tradition together. What it's like to be a consultant. DNA, get.